The gunshot tore across the midnight plain like the sky itself had cracked open. Eliza Marrow didn't flinch. She was too numb, too exhausted, and too pregnant to be afraid anymore. What startled her instead was the way the echo rolled across the desert and died at the feet of the man she'd been trying to avoid for months. Tansa. The Apache horseman reined in his paint stallion, moonlight sliding over his bare shoulders, his long black hair tied with a strip of red cloth, tribal beads resting against his chest. He looked like he had ridden straight out of a legend, silent, dangerous, unpredictable. And tonight, she needed him more than she cared to admit. Eliza's breath hitched. Dust covered her clothes, and streaks of dried tears marked her cheeks. She had walked for miles after fleeing her ranch at sundown, clutching her shawl over her swollen belly. She looked like a ghost wandering the desert, and she felt like one. Tansa's eyes narrowed, reading her without a single word. He always saw too much. Who fired? He asked. My husband, she whispered. Marcus. Tansa's jaw flexed. Did he hit you? No. But he tried. She wrapped her arms around herself. He doesn't believe the baby is his. Tansa's gaze flicked to her stomach, then back to her eyes. He is wrong, he said. She swallowed hard. Her voice trembled. Tansa, I came because you're the only one who can help me. The ranch hands won't protect me. The sheriff owes Marcus favors. And Marcus? She shook her head. He's lost to drink. Maybe worse. The Apache warrior dismounted with fluid grace. When he stepped closer, Eliza's heart thudded painfully, not from fear, but from the weight of the truth she carried. Tansa, she whispered, voice barely carrying on the breeze. I didn't come only because of danger. She lifted her chin, meeting his dark, unreadable eyes. I came to tell you something that can't wait anymore. He waited. Still as stone. Eliza inhaled shakily. It's your child, she said. You're the father. The desert fell silent, as if the earth itself stopped breathing. Tansa blinked once, slow and deliberate. His entire face changed, not with shock, but with a sharp, fierce understanding that seemed to settle into his bones. He stepped back, not in denial, but in calculation, as if the world around him had shifted and he was adjusting to its new shape. Eliza, he said softly. How long? 7 months, she said. You remember that night, after the barn fire, when Marcus was gone for 3 days, when you helped me rebuild the fence and... Her voice collapsed under emotion. It wasn't supposed to mean anything, but it did. To me. Wind swept across the plain, carrying the distant howls of coyotes. Tansa didn't touch her. He didn't need to. His silence felt like thunder. Eliza, he said, you should not have come alone. Marcus will track you. I know. That's why I need you. A rumble of hooves in the distance made both of them look toward the ridge. Lantern light. 3 riders, Marcus's men. Tansa turned, his face sharpening with protective ferocity. Eliza, he said, get behind me. The riders thundered down the slope, guns raised. One shouted, there she is. Grab her. Marcus wants her alive. Tansa's stallion stamped the dirt, sensing the tension. Eliza pressed a hand to her belly. The baby kicked hard. As if sensing danger, Tansa's hand slid to the obsidian-handled knife strapped to his thigh. No, Eliza whispered. Tansa, we can't fight them. They'll kill you. He glanced at her once, just once, and in that single look she saw something terrifying and beautiful. Man deciding what he was willing to die for. The riders closed in fast. Tansa grabbed Eliza's wrist. Run. They took off toward the sandstone ravine, the men shouting behind them. The moon lit their path as bullets ripped through the night, ricocheting off stone. Eliza stumbled on loose gravel, crying out, and Tansa caught her before she fell. Eliza, listen, he said, voice low but steady. I will get you safe. I swear it. Where? There's nowhere. There is, he said. My people have a hidden camp 15 miles north. The cavalry never found it. Marcus won't either. The rider's voices grew louder. Eliza gripped his arm. And after that? What then, Tansa? Tansa lifted her chin gently. After that? I claimed my child. Her heart pulsed painfully. And you, he added softly. Before she could respond, a bullet whined past her ear. Go! He barked. They ran again, rocks scraping beneath their boots, shadows shifting around them. The ravine narrowed, a dead end approaching fast. Tansa, there's nowhere to go. He looked up. There was a ledge. High. Too high for her alone, but not for him. He knelt, hands interlaced. Your foot, now. Tansa, Eliza. Trust me. She placed her foot in his grip, heaved upward. He pushed, launching her toward the ledge. She caught the edge, scrambling onto solid rock. Tansa leaped next, grabbing her hand as a rider's bullet smashed into the stone below. He pulled himself up just as the men reached the bottom of the ravine. The lead rider shouted, Marcus says she don't leave this desert alive. Tansa shielded Eliza with his body as bullets cracked the stone around them. Eliza clutched his arm, trembling. Tansa, what are we going to do? He looked out over the terrain, calculating the impossible, and then he smiled. A dangerous, fearless Apache smile. We jump. Below them stretched a slope of sand so steep it looked like a wall. Are you insane? She gasped. Yes, he said. Hold tight. He wrapped an arm around her waist and leaped. They tumbled down the dune in an avalanche of sand, sliding so fast Eliza couldn't scream. Behind them, Ryder swore in shock. When they hit bottom, Tansa pulled her to her feet. Eliza, he said, breathing hard. From this moment, your life is mine to protect. She stared at him, chest heaving. Tansa, what if Marcus never stops? What if this never ends? He brushed a strand of hair from her face. It will, he said, because I don't run from danger. He glanced toward the stars. I hunted back. The moment Eliza heard the war drum echo across Red Mesa, she knew Marcus had already found their trail. The dawn sky bled orange across the desert as Eliza Marrow clung to the back of Tansa's stallion. Her arms wrapped around his waist, her cheek pressed against the beads strung across his bare back. She felt his heartbeat steady, powerful, the only calm thing left in her world. They had ridden all night to escape Marcus's riders. Now the sands of Red Mesa stretched before them, cracked and shimmering with heat, the wind carrying dust and distant danger. Your husband moves faster than I expected, Tansa said without turning. His voice vibrated in his chest. He wants you back badly. He doesn't want me, Eliza murmured. He wants control. And revenge. Tansa slowed the horse, shifting in the saddle to look back at her. His long black hair moved with the wind, strands brushing her face. You should not fear him anymore, he said. Eliza swallowed hard. I'm still carrying his name. And my child, Tansa answered quietly. Her breath caught. He rarely said it aloud. When he did, something inside her steadied like someone finally lifting a weight she'd carried alone for months. Tansa, she whispered, but before she could say more, he lifted a hand. Listen. The sound came again, a deep, rhythmic thump rolling across the mesa like distant thunder. A war drum, but not an Apache one. Tansa's eyes darkened. That is not my people, he murmured. Someone else is hunting these lands. Eliza tensed. Is it Marcus? No, his men do not use drums. Tansa scanned the horizon. This is bad. The stallion shifted uneasily, ears twitching. Eliza gripped the saddle. What does it mean? Tansa's jaw tightened. It means more men are coming and they are not here for peace. They rode toward a cluster of jagged red boulders where the heat wavered like a mirage. Tansa dismounted, helping Eliza down. Her feet trembled when they touched the ground. She hadn't walked since the night before. "You're tired," Tansa said softly. "We've both had worse," Eliza replied, forcing a smile. He didn't smile back. He was studying her closely, the circles beneath her eyes, the rigid tension in her shoulders, the way she kept one protective hand over her belly. "Eliza, you must rest. And you?" she asked. "When will you rest?" "When you and the child are safe." She opened her mouth to argue, but the look in his eyes silenced her. It was the same look he'd had the night they first crossed the line between friendship and something deeper. A look carved from loyalty, not apology. She sat on a flat rock as Tansa walked a few paces ahead, crouching low. He touched the ground, his fingers brushing the tracks left by horses. His expression sharpened. "4 riders," he murmured. "Heavy boots. Not Marcus's men. These men know the desert. Hunters, perhaps. Or soldiers." Eliza stiffened. "Soldiers? Why would they be out here?" Tansa stood. "Because Marcus told them something." She frowned. "What do you mean?" Tansa turned to her slowly. "Sometimes white men claim Apache children as threats. Say they must be removed before they grow. Marcus might have told them you were taken." His voice hardened. "Or that you were carrying a half Apache child." Eliza's stomach twisted. "No, Marcus wouldn't." "He would," Tansa said. "If he wants you punished. If he wants me dead." Eliza gripped the rock until her knuckles whitened. "Tansa, if soldiers take me back, they will take my baby too." He stepped toward her, kneeling beside her with an intensity that made her throat tighten. "I will die before I let that happen." "Tansa, don't say things like that. It is not words." His voice was unshakable. "It is truth." She touched his arm, suddenly overwhelmed by fear, love, guilt, all tangled so tightly she could barely breathe. "Tansa, what if we're too late?" He brushed her hand with his thumb. "We are not." The drumbeat grew louder. Tansa led Eliza toward a narrow fissure in the rock wall, barely wide enough for a person to squeeze through. The moment they stepped inside, the temperature dropped, shadows swallowing them whole. "We must cross the Spirit Canyon," he said. "It leads north, to my people." Eliza's heart pounded. "You never spoke of your tribe's camp." "Why?" "Because it is sacred," he replied. "And hidden. No outsider has been there in 10 years. Will they accept me?" He glanced back. "They will if I claim you." Her breath caught. "Claim me?" she whispered. "As mother of my child," Tansa said, "and as the woman I choose." Emotion rose in her chest, heavy and frightening. "Tansa, your people may not want a white woman. They will want you," he said simply. "Because I do." She swallowed, hard, but the moment was shattered by a sound, a man's voice, rough, familiar, echoing through the canyon entrance. "Eliza, Marcus." Eliza froze like prey caught in a rifle sight. Tansa's hand closed around her wrist. "We move now." They ran deeper into the fissure. The passage narrowed, torch dark, and chokingly tight. Eliza's breath rasped as their footsteps echoed in the stone throat of the canyon. Behind them, Marcus's laughter bounced off the walls. "You think he can save you, Eliza? That Apache trash? I warned you what happens to women who lie." She felt sick. Marcus's voice had always been poison, but here, in the canyon, it sounded unholy, warped by rage. Tansa didn't react. He moved with predatory calm, guiding her deeper. The canyon split in 2 paths. left narrow and dark, right wide and echoing. Tansa touched the ground again. Tracks, he whispered. Fresh. They went right. Marcus? Eliza whispered. Soldiers. She stiffened. Then we go left, Tansa said. They squeezed into the smaller passage. The walls scraped Eliza's shoulders, but the darkness kept them hidden. Behind them, Marcus's voice grew closer. You can't hide, Eliza. When I find you, I'll take you home and we'll fix this whole mess, Tansa murmured. Home is not with him. I know, she whispered. Suddenly, they reached an open chamber inside the canyon, a natural hollow lit by a crack in the stone ceiling. A thin beam of sunlight streamed down, illuminating ancient petroglyphs of warriors, eagles, and serpents. Eliza stared. This place, it feels alive. It is a burial site, Tansa said quietly. My ancestors are here. She stepped closer to a carved symbol of a circle split in half. What does this mean? Tansa hesitated. It is a mark for forbiddance unions. She turned to him. Forbiddance? He swallowed, something tightening in his eyes. Eliza, if my people learn the truth about our child before I speak for you first, some may see it as breaking sacred law. Her heart plunged. Then maybe I shouldn't come with you. Tansa stepped toward her so fast she gasped. You will come, he said firmly. I will deal with the council. You protect our child. That is all. Before she could respond, a sound thundered through the chamber. Boots. Marcus's men were entering the canyon. Tansa's expression hardened. We must leave. Now. They scrambled through a side crack in the stone, emerging onto a ledge overlooking a dead-drop ravine. Eliza's stomach lurched. We can't cross this. We won't, Tansa said. We climb. Climb? She whispered. He pointed to a jagged outcropping leading upward narrow handholds carved by wind. It's the only way. Eliza stared up. She was 9 inches from panic. Tansa, I'm pregnant. What if I fall? He cupped her face gently. I won't let you. Voices echoed behind them. Marcus's voice, closer, furious. Eliza, I'll shoot him dead for touching what's mine. Tansa's jaw tightened. Eliza climbed, now. She did, slowly, terrified, fingers trembling on hot stone. Tansa climbed right behind her, one hand ready to steady her if she slipped. Halfway up, her foot skidded. Pebbles rained down the cliff. Eliza. Tansa grabbed her waist. Hold on. I can't. Yes, you can. Look at me. She did. And something passed between them, strength, trust, a silent promise older than fear. She climbed again. They reached the top just as Marcus appeared on the lower ledge, gun raised. Eliza, he roared. If you take one more step, I swear I'll... Tansa stepped in front of her. Marcus aimed straight at him. Eliza screamed, Marcus, don't. But Marcus didn't listen. He pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed across Red Mesa. The bullet meant for Tansa tore through the air, yet somehow missed him by the width of a heartbeat. The gunshot slammed into the rock inches from Tansa's head, exploding shards of stone across the ledge. Eliza gasped, covering her face as dust rained over them. Marcus swore below, angry the shot didn't take Tansa down. Hold still, you Apache bastard. I'll get a clean shot. Tansa pulled Eliza behind a stone pillar jutting from the cliff. His hand pressed between her shoulder blades, steady, grounding her. You're shaking, he murmured. I nearly watched you die, she whispered, breathless. I can't, Tansa. I can't lose you. You won't, he said, eyes fierce. Not while I still breathe. Below them, Marcus barked orders at his men. Flank left. They can't get far. Eliza hugged her stomach, heart pounding. Tansa scanned the ledge, assessing every rock, every path. "There," he said softly, pointing to a narrow ridge leading toward a shadowed tunnel carved into the cliffs. "Spirit Canyon extends beyond that point. My people's land begins close." Eliza nodded, though fear clung to her ribs like barbed wire. "Tansa," she whispered, "your tribe. Will they accept what we've done? What this child means?" He held her gaze, steady as stone. "I will speak for you, and if they don't listen?" "They will," he said firmly. "They are my blood, but you," he placed a hand over her stomach. "You are the future I choose." She inhaled sharply. Their child kicked beneath his palm, but Marcus's voice ripped the moment apart. "Eliza, you're coming home. You hear me? I'll drag you if I must." Her chest constricted. "He'll never stop." "No," Tansa agreed. "He won't." He rose to his full height, gripping her hand. "But that is why we run faster." They sprinted across the ridge, stones skittering beneath their boots. The wind howled around them, carrying the echo of Marcus's furious shouts. Eliza glanced back once and regretted it instantly. Marcus had mounted the ridge. His face was red with rage, hair whipping wildly, pistol aimed straight at her. "Tansa," she cried. He spun, pulling her behind him again as a bullet grazed his arm, slicing through skin. Blood spattered the stone. "Tansa." Her voice cracked. "You're hit." "It's nothing," he said through clenched teeth. She grabbed his arm. "You're bleeding." I said it's nothing. But the way he winced told her it was more than nothing. "Come," he breathed, pulling her forward. They reached the tunnel, a shadowed throat of stone that swallowed the sunlight. The air inside was cooler, carrying a faint scent of sage. Eliza hesitated at the entrance. "Tansa, what is this place?" "Ancestral path," he said. "Used only in times of danger." He pressed a hand to his wounded arm, blood sliding down to his wrist. "We must cross it." Behind them, Marcus's boots pounded closer. Tansa pulled Eliza into the darkness. The tunnel walls tightened quickly, the passage winding like a serpent. Eliza stumbled more than once, but Tansa's steady hand guided her. At one turn, she saw a sliver of light, a small opening in the rock wall. When she peered out, her breath caught. The canyon dropped into a vast valley of red cliffs, desert flowers, and flowing spring water. "Tansa, it's beautiful." "It's home," he said softly. A sound echoed back down the tunnel boot, scraping rock. Marcus. Tansa's expression hardened. He turned to Eliza. "Keep walking. What about you?" "I will slow him." "No," she whispered. "You can't fight him in there. It's too tight, too close." "Eliza," he said, voice low, "I know the canyon." "He does not." She shook her head, near tears. "What if he kills you?" Tansa cupped her face, his thumb brushing her cheek. "If I fall, you will go on. You will protect our child. You will find my people. They will shelter you." Eliza gripped his wrist. "Tansa, please." "I will return to you," he promised. "I always do." His forehead touched hers for a fleeting second, intimate, grounding, more powerful than any kiss. Then he turned, knife glinting. Eliza watched him disappear into the darkness, heart splintering. She forced herself forward. One step, then another. Until a scream. "Tansa." Her voice echoed against the stone. She froze, panic swallowing her whole. The scream wasn't Tansa's voice. It was Marcus's. "Eliza." Marcus's voice cracked. "Your savage lover cut me." She sagged against the wall, breath shaking. Tansa was alive. But Marcus was still coming. Eliza pushed deeper until the tunnel opened onto a ledge overlooking the valley. Hawks circled overhead. The wind carried scents of pine and wild sage. She stepped forward, then a hand shot out and grabbed her arm. She gasped, but it was Tansa. Blood streaked his shoulder, and a fresh cut sliced across his cheek, but he stood steady. "Tansa, you're—" "I am fine," he said. But his breath was shallow. "Marcus is wounded, angry. He will follow soon." Eliza stared at his injuries. "You need help." "I need time," he corrected. "And we have little of it." He pointed across the valley. "My people are camped beyond those pines. We have maybe a mile." Eliza nodded. But before they could move, Marcus stumbled out of the tunnel behind them. He was bleeding heavily from a deep slash across his ribs. His shirt was torn, his eyes wild with rage and pain. "Eliza!" he bellowed, voice hoarse. "You ruined everything." Tansa stepped forward, knife in hand, shielding her completely. "Stay behind me," he murmured. Marcus staggered toward them, gun raised despite shaking hands. "You think you can steal my wife?" Marcus spat. "Think she loves you?" "She's mine. She'll always be mine." Eliza's voice cracked with fury she didn't know she had. "I was never yours, Marcus." Marcus's hand trembled, squeezing the gun tighter. "You carry my name, and I carry his child," Eliza said firmly, stepping beside Tansa. Marcus's face twisted. "Liar! That half-breed can't." "Do not finish that sentence," Tansa warned, voice cold as steel. Marcus aimed the gun again. Tansa reacted, instantly hurling his knife. The blade spun through the air. Marcus fired at the same moment. Eliza screamed. Marcus staggered back, knife buried in his shoulder. His gun dropped to the ground. He swayed, cursed, and collapsed to his knees, gasping. Tansa rushed forward, kicking the gun away. Eliza followed, trembling. Marcus coughed blood, glaring up at her. "You? Traitor! After all I gave you." "All you gave me was fear," Eliza whispered, tears burning her eyes. "And I'm done living in it." Marcus's eyes darted to Tansa. "You? Apache filth." "I'll see you dead." Tansa stepped back, jaw tight. "You brought your death with you." Marcus's head lolled. His breath hitched once, then again, and he stopped moving. Eliza stared at the stillness, a tide of conflicted emotion crashing through her: relief, sorrow, trauma, liberation. "It's over," she whispered. "No," Tansa said softly. "Not yet." He looked toward the valley beyond. "My people await, and they must decide what comes next." Eliza turned to him, desperation rising again. "Will they accept me?" "Accept us?" Tansa took her hands, lifting them to his chest. "I cannot promise what the council will say, but I promise this." His voice deepened, unwavering. "I will stand with you no matter what judgment they give." She felt his heartbeat under her palm, strong, steady, alive. "Tansa," she breathed. "We must go," he said gently. She nodded. They walked together, side by side, as dawn lit the valley like a blessing, leaving Marcus's body behind, leaving her old life buried in the canyon, and stepping toward a future neither had ever dared to imagine. Toward the Apache camp. Toward judgment. Toward truth. By the time Eliza saw the Apache camp spread across the valley floor, her knees nearly buckled, not from fear, but from the crushing weight of everything that had led her here. The encampment was hidden within a cradle of towering pine trees, smoke rising gently from cooking fires, children's laughter carried through the crisp morning air. Yet beneath that calm was a ripple of tension. Every Apache head turned when Tansa and Eliza emerged from the trail. Some men stiffened. Women shielded their children. Elders whispered. Tansa's grip on Eliza's hand tightened. "You walk with me," he murmured. She nodded, though her heart hammered against her ribs. Her dress was torn, her hair tangled from wind and fear, and Tansa's blood stained her sleeve. She must have looked wild, desperate, foreign. A woman approached first, tall and regal, her braided hair lined with silver beads. She was older, maybe 60, but carried herself with the authority of someone who didn't need to raise her voice to command respect. "Tansa," she said, her tone neither warm nor unkind. "You return injured." Tansa bowed his head. "Mother." Eliza inhaled sharply. This was Tansa's mother, Nokomis. Nokomis's sharp eyes flicked to Eliza. "And you bring a white woman into our home," she said. Not accusatory. Simply fact. Tansa straightened. "She carries my child." A wave of murmurs rippled through the camp like a sudden windstorm. Eliza felt the air thicken around her. Nokomis's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes sharpened. "This is no small matter." "I know," Tansa answered. "Does she speak for herself?" Nokomis asked. Eliza swallowed. Her voice felt small in her throat, but she forced it forward. "My name is Eliza Marrow," she said softly. "Your son saved my life. I carry his child, and I love him." The murmuring intensified. Some voices carried suspicion, others anger. A man stepped forward, tall, heavily muscled, older than Tansa but clearly related. His face was scarred on one side as if clawed by a cougar long ago. "Tansa," the man said, "your actions break tradition." He pointed at Eliza. "Our ancestors forbid mixing blood." Eliza froze. Tansa bowed his head slightly. "Uncle Weya, I know the law. But this is not a matter of shame. This is a matter of survival, hers and mine." Weya's eyes narrowed. "This woman's people have taken land, taken lives. You bring one into our home?" "She is not her people," Tansa said firmly. "She is herself." Nokomis lifted a hand, silencing the rising tension. "Bring them to the council fire," she said. "This decision cannot be made by argument alone." Tansa guided Eliza forward. She felt every gaze on her, heavy as judgment. She kept her hand on her belly, not for comfort but protection. The child kicked. She prayed it was a good sign. The council gathered around a circular fire pit where flames licked upward, sending sparks into the afternoon air. Elders sat around the circle, their faces painted with ceremonial symbols. Eliza sat beside Tansa, feeling the heat of both the fire and the scrutiny. Nokomis stood. "Tansa, son of our people, you come before us hurt and bleeding. You come with a woman from outside our tribe. A white woman." She let the words settle like dust. "Tell us why." Tansa rose slowly despite his injuries. "When I was patrolling the canyon edge," he began, "I found Eliza alone, starving, beaten. Her husband Marcus hunted her like an animal. I saved her because she deserved saving. And in the time that followed, we found each other, not as enemies, as people." One elder, small but fierce-eyed, spoke. "You claim her child is yours?" "Yes." Eliza felt every heart drop in the circle. Even those who'd held neutral expressions now exhaled deeply. The elder asked, "And this child born of two worlds, what place will it hold among us?" Tansa didn't hesitate. "A place of honor." Another elder scoffed. "You speak boldly, Tansa." "I speak the truth," he said. "This woman risked her life to protect our child. Marcus nearly killed her for leaving him. She chose survival. She chose me." Eliza rose before she realized she was moving. The elders looked at her, some curious, some cold. "I know I am not one of you," she said, voice trembling but firm. "But I have suffered at the hands of my own people, Marcus. He would have beaten me to death if Tansa hadn't intervened. And he would have taken my baby once it was born. Gasps rippled. Marcus is dead, Tansa confirmed. He forced my hand. The elders murmured. Eliza took a breath. I don't claim to understand your traditions or your ways, but I do understand love. I understand loyalty. Your son gave me both when no one else would, and all I want is a safe place for this child to live. Silence. Absolute. Then Weah rose, stepping forward, towering over both Eliza and Tansa. This child will face hardship, he said. From white men. From our own people. Bloodlines are not simple things. I know that, Eliza whispered, but I will protect my child. And I will honor your people however I can. Weah studied her as though peeling back every layer of her soul. Then he turned to the elders. We know the old laws, he said. We know what was forbidden. But times change. Enemies become neighbors. The world is shifting around us whether we choose it or not. Nokomis watched him closely. Weah continued. I saw her eyes. They do not lie. She fears us, yes, but she respects us. And she loves our Tansa. A quiet nod from Nokomis confirmed approval. Weah faced Eliza again. If you join us, it must be fully. No half-loyalties. No returning to old ways. I understand, Eliza whispered. And you will raise this child with our teachings? Yes, if you'll have me. The council murmured again, this time louder, but not hostile. Nokomis stepped forward. Eliza Marrow, she said, voice deep and resonant, you stand before the Red Pines people. You carry the child of my son. You seek refuge. You seek family. Eliza nodded, breath unsteady. Nokomis lifted her chin. Then we accept you. Eliza gasped. Tansa exhaled shakily, relief washing over his face. But Nokomis raised a finger. With conditions. Eliza's heart paused. You will undergo the ritual of acceptance, Nokomis said. You will learn our ways. And you will prove yourself to our people, not by blood, but by heart. I will, Eliza whispered. Whatever it takes. Tansa took her hand again. Nokomis nodded. Then welcome, daughter. Eliza felt tears gather in her eyes, tears of relief, gratitude, release. For the first time in her life, someone called her daughter with warmth. The evening brought ceremony. Women painted Eliza's face with red clay symbols representing protection and rebirth. Children watched curiously as she received a beaded necklace symbolizing her new place among them. Tansa stood at her side, his wounds bound, his posture proud. As the drums began and the tribe danced in circles around the fire, Eliza let herself breathe for the first time in months. Tansa, she said softly, touching his arm. Your people. They accepted me. They saw your heart, he answered. And that was enough. She stared at the flames, feeling warmth flood through her chest. I wish Marcus had never existed. Tansa placed a hand on hers. He is part of your past, but not your future. And our child? She whispered. Our child will know love, he said, not fear. She leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder. For the first time in her life, the world didn't feel dangerous. It felt possible. The child kicked again. Tansa smiled. He hears the drums. Or she, Eliza teased. Tansa's smile widened. Or she. Eliza laughed softly, a sound she hadn't made in so long it felt new. As the firelight danced across the valley, the tribe embraced her with chants, drumming, warmth. It felt like being reborn, like stepping out of a storm and finding sunlight again. The past was buried in the canyon with Marcus. The future lived here among the pines, in Tansa's arms, and in the heartbeat of the child she carried. When the drums quieted, Tansa leaned close. Eliza, he murmured, voice deep and sacred. "You are home now." She closed her eyes, letting the truth settle over her. "Yes," she whispered. "I am."